Well, hello. Is this something about the last potential game of the Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 4, the finals? I can't believe we got here, and it only seemed like last year that we started this season off with 7 amazing weeks of Randomizer, quite the variety pack, and we went through, 3 rounds of playoffs, each being 2 weeks, and we are here, potentially at the record-making game of Season 4 between 2 amazing teams and 2 amazing runners, although you may not be able to tell their sprites apart. We have Dante representing the Titans Miss having a 2-0 lead over Team PugTrio represented by Andy. This, as we said, if Dante sweeps this game in hard Randomizer over Andy, the Titans Miss will have completely won out Season 4. And if you are fans of more Randomizer or of Andy or Pugs, you want Andy definitely to clinch out this win so we can force out a Game 4. This is going to be an amazing race for an amazing mode with some amazing runners. I am Claire Mouse. I am joined here today by the one and only Arier. And tracking here for today is Jinxie Girl. Ari, how are you doing? Are you excited?
I'm super excited. I'm going in, with like look of admiration. Both these runners are extremely proficient in Randomizer. I am not so much, so I'm just gonna.
NMG does have its fair share of Randomizer. You know, it's just very predictable, is all.
Yeah, no, this is going to be an amazing race. Most of you listed all the important stuff, but most of all, this is going to determine the right who is allowed to use the Pug Sprite or who is, the biggest Pug lover, because both these great guys, they love their pugs, and yeah, we're gonna be off. It's going to be a super interesting early game as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And right. So right, you actually see that some pretty synced up art. Oh, we got a quick map check on Andy's side already. I saw. Was it 2 maybe red crystals and a red pendant? I want to say at desert.
I think it was red crystal at desert.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Luckily we have an awesome and very veteran seasoned tracker for us, Jinxie, so I know that I have every confidence in her. But looks like actually we are going to get some checking here at the Uncle. Of course, we did say this is hard Randomizer, so Randomizer means that, we normally get to see a couple green guards, but until today, we got, a Stalfos and maybe Shadow guy? I don't remember. Yeah, it looks like one of those Shadow guys. Every enemy is going to be a surprise, and, these guys not only have great game instincts, they have good rando instincts as well. It's going to be put to the test today.
Yeah, they're both super veterans at not only just this mode, but also Andy's super proficient in anything regarding Randomizer or Link to the Past.
Yes.
He's like a veritable dinosaur of this game at this point.
A dinosaur. Yeah. I only see pugs in front of me, Ari. I don't know where you're getting these historical animals from.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's a veritable pug.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and of course, yeah, just as our runners looks like they're gonna make their way maybe into Lost Woods. Although we do see some vanilla green guards here. I'm ashamed at the seat already.
Look,
but
that fish right there that you saw right in front of Lost Woods is going to be super beneficial. Going to give some good resources when they bring that one to the bottle vendor.
Yeah, so right, so as playing a part of Manazar's, and of course both of you, oh my gosh, dude, Ari, we have a sword already in the mushroom spot. Is this easy mode or what?
Get me out of here. This is not what we expect out of finals.
Man, we want to see what bomb Eastern Palace, whatever. But you know what? These guys are both treated to a sword. It's gonna make their lives a heck of more stable, at least for what it's worth. Certainly both of us are very proficient, with the sword. But as we did say, this is also the hard item pool. Even though we do get one sword early on, we are capped at tempered sword later on, among other safety cautions. So for all we know, this is going to be the sword that's going to get us through the rest of the game until maybe Ganon.
Yeah. Also, Dante decides to just forgo the fish and go straight into blind slot. So maybe he just expects to not need it, to get enough resources, and not have to lose the 10 or something seconds that it takes to reroute. But it's a lot of stuff. Just
Yeah.
pull up on bombs.
Oh
Oh,
my
second
god.
sword. Okay, well,
Okay.
get me out of here.
Yeah, you know, all right. So Dante already showing us, all right. So Dante already showing us a sneak preview of some points that we're on Master Sword already. Man, I guess Kakariko, really wants these runners to just actually have a good time versus us. All right, so we're really gonna hope for the rest of the seed to be something not as convenient for these runners. But yeah, as you mentioned it, Ari, we did see on Andy's side, turning in that fish, that is actually some good vanilla game knowledge. If you happen to be able to catch a fish from very far away and bring it all the way back to the bottom, well, he will give you a ton of resources, right? We saw, what, like 8 bombs or 20 rupees, full magic, etc., right? All really nice things. But of course, an Randomizer, if a fish just happens to appear right next to you, well, you get a free trip over here. But, we did see on Dante's side that we did get some pretty nice early resources. So yeah, maybe you're correct in that he was not willing to spend some extra time, especially if you are Dante facing Andy, or if you are Andy facing Dante. You are going to try and probably cut as many corners as you can, because every second is going to matter.
Yeah, well, okay. Nice bottle as well. It's a little bit of safety.
Yeah, vanilla. And of course, Randomizer, you are never ever going to turn down the safety. I don't understand. I expected something other than chickens here. We are getting actually quite the friendly Kakariko / Light World Overworld here.
Yeah, definitely. This is like a very, very safe early game. So, especially with the weaponry that we already have with the Master Sword, we're not going to be in like any early trouble either. Even like early dungeons. Maybe the Dark Room in Eastern could be a little tricky, but okay, nice glove. Okay.
Yeah, you're actually bringing up some really good points here. So typically speaking, especially runners of this like S plus tier caliber of runners, as long as they have a fire source, probably most likely to be the fire rod to get through whatever they need to logically beat the game. That lamp is like never even going to occur in their minds. However, in Randomizer, you don't really know what's lurking in those dark rooms, and if you can't really see or know what to expect, that could kill you, especially with only 3 hearts green mail. Yeah, you could actually take some unfortunate death rolls out. Was that flippers that we saw?
Yeah, we're gonna need some footwear for some footwear.
Okay, all right, so that's gonna be good.
Oh
my
there's
gosh!
that footwear.
Oh, Ari, you could have just waited, 2 seconds basically to call that. Kakariko, this is the place to be, especially for these pugs here. I believe if you've ever seen any race with featuring a pug sprite by DNT or Andy, you know how adept they are at using boots, how much technique they can unleash, and some hidden abilities. Not to mention that they already have up to Master Sword. I mean, they are basically going to be unstoppable. This is going to be a very high-class execution race.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that this probably favors Andy a little bit more, just regarding the sheer execution that he has. But of course, like all this muscle memory goes out of the window a little bit when it comes to Randomizer. So like all the in-dungeon or the overall routing when it comes to dashes and stuff, you might have to be a little bit more careful than you usually are.
Yeah, no, you certainly bring up a good point. I want to say, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, Ari, but I want to say that Andy does have like a 124 NMG time, something like that. Yeah, that is like ridiculously impressive in terms of execution. Just how much he's played this game, certainly very well practiced. And based on I guess what we've been seeing, in Kakariko, it certainly could be very possible that we're going to get some vanilla rooms here as well.
Slight little bit of divergence here. I'm not going to expect that Dante doesn't follow up on Andy's route here. Just a quick back of escape check. We'll see how much this little trip benefits Andy. Like maybe just, man, I'm not even sure. Maybe like 300 rupees, so he can maybe continue to Zora after Mini Mullen Cave and Ice Shot Cave.
Yeah, although the back of escape here is, she's got a map that is smoky and yeah, not even worth mentioning. But actually, the fact that you actually bring up Zora, and actually reminded me at least that it's a Dante heading over to South Shore. This essentially almost essentially is we have starting boots and starting sword. I mean, it was super early, right? So they could actually play this basically just as they were playing an Randomized casual boots seed, right? It's very common practice because we can water walk all the way to Zora and not spend like a ton of time swimming, because swimming is actually quite difficult. Ari, did you just see what Dante picked up in Mini Hold'em Cave?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh!
I was already making an exasperated noise right there. All right. Well,
Well, it's you know what? This is the final. This is potentially the last game of the finals of Season 4 League, right? I'm sure these runners, while they are veteran competitors at top competitions, they probably got a little bit of tournament nerves, right, going on, especially facing a pretty formidable opponent. Maybe we could throw them a bone or two, right, or three in this case, just to get them a little bit of comfort early game.
yeah, that's comfort food for pugs, right? So
Yeah.
they like their bones. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with runners getting tempered. Like, it's going to make for it just makes the match a lot less lopsided in that sense. Like, we're not gonna have one person struggle with like fighter sword video at some point, and the other one like just barely succeeding and one barely dying. And
Yeah.
in that sense, it's probably a good thing for the race, but it's not what you expect.
Yeah, no, actually, you were actually talking about potentially Andy having, still, a pretty good, execution, edge, or potentially, right, just because he's so practiced with an MG. The fact that they do have Tempered Sword, especially, you mentioned for these late game bosses, right, the health certainly can be quite precarious, even in NMG, right? Just because you know how to do, let's say, Temper Sword Vitreous, doesn't necessarily mean you really want to do this on, such low health, right? So that could put some execution here to the test.
We got some very fortunate items right there at Waterfall Ferry as well, by the way. We got 300 rupees for Zora, so we could afford it now. We got the mids, and we got a nice ferry in a bottle, and even though like our offense is pretty immaculate at this rate with this tempered sword, we still don't have a lot of health. And I mean, I guess with hard mode we're going to be like capped at 14 hearts and blue mail, but just having a ferry on the side is super nice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Oh, we did see half magic. I'm not sure Dante scouted the item on Lake Highlight Island, but
yeah, he did scout it, but he didn't go to Hobo. So we're gonna see if Andy gets something here, because this is really isolated for Dante at this point. Well,
oh, that is a ridiculously good item. So you did mention that Hobo is isolated. It is actually still completely illogic because we did get those flippers from library, which was a foot-locked footwear. Yes. Andy is going to, looks like he is not even going to bother with Zora. I am proud of the Titans Miss, Dante getting the Titans Miss before Andy. That is something at least he can put to his name, but Andy is definitely going to have a little bit of earlier advantage in terms of overworld travel.
yeah, this is pretty nuts. we got a lot of stuff already. Yeah, this could definitely be rough for Dante, but it all depends on how much is locked behind the flute.
Yeah, right. So right now, the flute immediately, I guess Andy's going to do a lumberjack check because we have some boots. That is going to make this check a little bit nicer. His main advantage, at least right now, as you mentioned, is actually just going to be primarily limited to light world travel. We do have, let's say, like Meyer access immediately, right, with Titan's Mitts and the flute combined runners. But it's not like we can actually do anything in that area, right? We don't have a pearl, we don't have a mirror, right? And if it's kind of like nothing's there, and it could actually just be wasting time. And it also could be that Meyer could be a pendant today, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like in that case, it could definitely be a huge red herring. But on the other hand, yeah, if nothing is there, but it is required, then it could be a long time before Dante gets back there, especially if logic works out in a way that there is a lamp somewhere and flute is not Death Mountain access or something. So Dante can't really like reason his way up to some in-logic checks.
Now I will say that because we do have the flippers, if we happen to cross that mirror, Dante could take a potential shortcut after he gets into Dark World and check like the bridge. And it's going to be a slightly faster way to Hobo. But again, that's kind of conditional, right? We do find an early Ice Rod. Predictions of what do you think Turtle Rock's appended? Oh, you know what? This is Randomizer. What am I saying? As part of Randomizer, not only are all the enemies shuffled in the overworld, we have a chaos boss shuffle, which means that we could see anywhere between like 0 and 10, something like that. Trinexus.
Oh, it's actually chaos. So okay, that's pretty crazy. I thought it was just a full shuffle, but that makes things a lot more interesting.
Yeah, so I want to say that for the regular season, when they did Randomizer, it was just full shuffle. It was just full boss shuffle. But for playoffs, it was completely, it's just chaos shuffle. So any boss within some reason and physical space limitations within the dungeons, it is going to be you don't know what it's going to be back there. I guess the benefit of Randomizer item pool specifically, I think they enhanced the feature of the compass in that if you end up finding the compass of the dungeon and you do a map check, you can actually see what the boss is at the boss room. Before you kind of have to go over there and kind of just be surprised when you enter.
Yeah, that's an awesome feature. Definitely adds a lot to Randomizer as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the compass could actually just be at the boss, in which case you're kind of out of luck. But you at least get a little bit more upside if you can find a compass early, because I think compasses and maps at this point don't really excite runners when they end up finding them.
Oh, for sure. We found our second heart container, or at least bonus heart. So the dark room could still be really rough, depending. Okay, we have a blind, so we can at least finish Eastern. So that's nice.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Thank you for checking that. These checks are so fast, Ari. But I guess maybe if you know what you're looking for, know exactly what to expect. So okay, so it looks like though I assume we did not pick up a big key, which is why it's both runners are potentially going to go there.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Okay, all right. So and you did mention that looks like we did pick up our second heart container. Both Andy and Dante looks like they are ready to brave the dark rooms. Some enemies do show up, although Dante looks like he is potentially getting a little bit bullied here by one of the Hinoxes in combination with that anti-berry. Oh, there's a mimic here
nasty.
Alright, okay, so it looks like Dante at least made it out. I won't say it relatively unscathed because he looks like he actually did take quite the beating, but at least this room isn't going to be as dangerous because it looks like all the anti-berries just turn into to popos, and those guys are pretty harmless.
Yeah, the next dark room though, that's gonna be something. Andy is like gaining a lot of time on Dante right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you actually see, and we mentioned earlier, right? So these guys are so adept at using boots, right? Andy, I mean, the execution here is going to be so tight. All right, looks like though we just have a map. So, and we did see a compass earlier because we just said Dante made the check. So there's going to be a guaranteed item on Crystal Blind in this case.
It was just a very friendly room. Wow.
Yeah.
What's up with this Randomizer?
I know, exactly, right? Looks like though Andy might have a little bit of trouble finding that small key. It looks like he did end up getting it, so yeah. So maybe just some of the time that Dante spent in the first dark room kind of gave back to Andy, or Andy gave kind of back to him in the second dark room. And looks like though we are ready to head on to killing blinds as part of Randomizer. Andy checking to make sure. Oh yeah, that's right. I can actually check the compass. Let's see if I can actually kill this boss before I end up coming back here.
Good idea.
Yeah, and yeah, and then maybe just another thing to note as part of Randomizer, just in case people weren't too aware. So typically speaking, right, Armos, there are red Igors that would typically block your path and require the bow. The way that the game maps Randomizer is that the Eastern Palace boss still logically requires the bow, but because the enemies are shuffled, they're always going to be something you can kill without the bow. So while this is still logically locked by the bow, we can always get, obviously, but seeing by both runners being back here, they're having a good time.
And Dante remembered to stand in the middle of the room, just like Annie.
Nice.
That's like the hardest thing about Randomizing.
Yeah. Well, actually, so speaking of potentially vanilla blind takedowns, right? So because this is Randomizer, does that mean you can't do the script, Ari?
Yeah, because it's just like in an NMG. If you die to blind once and you re-enter the room, the fight starts from like the top right of the room, just like it will in Randomizer. And that kind of one, because it doesn't start in the middle of the room, and two, because it takes time to actually get to the point where blind is, instead of like already being there when the hitbox appears.
Alright, so either these runners just both have really good practice by dying to blind a bunch of times, so then they both got to the fight okay, or they're just obviously just very good at the game in general, good rando instincts.
Yeah, having beams helps a lot.
Yeah.
Was that the fourth sword? Right
you know what? I believe that you are correct at this point, Ari. I'm very disappointed.
This is ridiculous.
I mean, just so early. It's like typically speaking, for the most part, you want to definitely see runners, have a good time, get some good equipment early on. This is different. We have Andy and Dante. These guys don't need anything. We'd rather just have them be a fighter sword the entire game, if not swordless. Although, so speaking of more diversions, so Dante, very, very reasonable, of course, doing an early front of escape check. There are, I believe, 3 items here, because we did see the small key and the map. Andy, though, taking advantage of the fact that he does have a flute, he can very easily go to wherever he wants. But Dante is a pretty good jackpot here, finding the Moon Pearl. So Andy, we know he's going to have to come here eventually.
So yeah. Finding Moon Pearl probably is really good. Of course, it does mean that he's going to be led astray from the flute just a little bit longer. Like kind of, you were probably kind of hoping that Mirror was somewhere and that the Moon Pearl was in checkerboard or something. But yeah, this does accelerate Dante's plans for full exploration into the Dark World.
Yeah, it looks like he is. Yeah, so he's starting a Sang, so chances are this is going to mean that he is going basically directly to his one available Dark World portal, which is near Kakariko. Andy's showing us a bit more tech that he knows how to do with those boots. Typically speaking, I would say that you don't see runners really getting extra, especially hard pieces, right? This is Randomizer. I think Andy is potentially ready to, go into the Dark World soon, and it probably wouldn't hurt to have a 6th heart somewhere.
Yeah, funnily enough, it probably doesn't really matter where Andy is at this point, because everything is dangerous because of Randomizer. But yeah, the sentiment definitely stands. Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
Andy just wants money. He just wants to have insurance that he's able to do Zora. So yeah, in that sense, Dante is building a little bit of a buffer on his early game lead. But of course, yeah, that flute is going to be the linchpin of the seed for now. It seems like.
Yeah, and at least for the time being, right? Then the fact that Dante, for example, he saved and quit and made his way directly to, the front of escape. It's not like the flute would really help you out all that much, right? The fact that, of course, he had to run over here to Kakariko, this is probably the first real instance, right, where he's gonna lose just a little bit of time. But as you mentioned, Ari, right, this flute, the longer that Dante doesn't have it, the longer these little time bleeds potentially are going to hurt him in the long run.
Yeah, it's just going to be not only just the incremental advantages, but also it's a very typical Go mode item. And we haven't had a Dark World map check yet. We know that Skullwoods is one of our pendants at this point.
But this is that uppercase P in the upper left-hand corner.
But yeah, the more that Dante is finding, and the more that we're going to get closer to Go mode, the less likely it is that Hobo is going to be an early check or a reasonable check for a long time. And that is, yeah, I mean, you could say worrying. We'll just have to see how the seed is going to keep unloading items over us, I guess.
Yeah, I would also like to file another complaint about Randomizer. So we finally got some red guards, but they're all locked in the pop prison, the actual prison. So it's not like they can even hurt us all that much. So I would like to see it be a little bit more challenging here for our 2 amazing runners.
Oh, we're going to see some beautiful stuff here on Andy's side.
Oh, is this actually happening? All right, so do you remember that fairy in the bottle that Andy ended up picking up pretty early? All right, this is potentially going to be some more boots tech on Andy's side. You're seeing that Andy is purposely taking some damage, and if he can employ those boots to move a little bit over, we're going to be able to make our way over to East Death Mountain.
He doesn't get it though.
Oh no!
Well, he even saves and quits. I thought he would maybe hard reset instead, just to save the ferry and maybe try again or something. But that's it, he quit. Inclines it's just a one and done. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna go to Hyrule Castle, get his Moon Pearl, and then make his way over to the Dark World. Maybe my area first. just to get that out of the way. See what he needs to enter Meyer.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah. And so I believe we did not see Dante do Dark Cross. Certainly still not in logic with neither a Fire Rod or Lamp in this case. But you know, I think the fact that Dante ended up finding the Moon Pearl right in the basement, in the boomerang chest, second one, and also the fact that Dark Cross is not in logic. You know, he has so many more other things to do. Probably just come back for it if and when he ends up finding, you know, something useful.
Yeah, Dark Cross is just so many rooms with potentially dangerous enemies or fire bars, spikes, just things that are that you can't just dash through even if you have tempered. Like at this point, Lionels are like they hurt, but they're not as dangerous in the sense that they don't really stop you to get to the item in Dark Cross anymore.
So just out of curiosity, have you ever tried to get to Ice Rock Cave when dashing and then run into a roller? I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I've also like dashed through bushes and suddenly had a roller respawn. That was also great. Yeah.
This is the beauty. This is what we want to see, by the way, for our pugs here, not for our average league runner. So speaking of, so I guess more pendant dungeons begets pendant dungeons, where it looks like, thanks Jinxie for updating the tracker, we have pendant Skullwoods, green pendant Thieves down here, also without the hammer. Yeah, hopefully we're gonna find something good in one of these checks or locations.
Yeah, Thieves Town is definitely an interesting check. If it's green pendant, it's actually very enticing to just not even do the... Was that Helma? I think
that looks like Helma, yeah.
But you don't even do the free checks in the back, but just go straight to the boss, because you don't have to rescue Blind and take her to the boss room. You can just go straight to the boss and like almost always get 2 items out of it, especially like if it's green pendant, because you get the item from the boss plus you get the green pendant turn in, which is like a very enticing deal. You can also just immediately grab the key, so you don't have to do it on your second trip back.
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting fight though. It's without hammer. It takes 5 bombs, but Helma can move pretty like out of the way.
Yeah, this is moving from NMG into actual rando here. Dante, he has some pretty amazing aim with those bombs.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Looks like Andy made his way through Dark Cross, was rewarded with a heart piece. I'm gonna assume at some point he's gonna get himself enough to another heart container, because it looks like he's actually picked up quite a few of them.
Yeah, we're getting to reasonable health now. At least it's not like damage shuffle, so we're not going to be like randomly hit for 8 hearts. So like we're already out of the critical zone at this point. But of course, more is better because it's very easy to just cascade into more and more damage. A nice second bottle as well.
Yeah, too bad it came empty this time. If it came with another fairy, I guess I'm wondering if Andy was willing to go back to Death Mountain and make a fairy revival attempt again.
Yeah, I can always go back to Waterfall Fairy.
Oh yeah, that's true. Alright, looks like though Andy has at least opted to skip the front of Skullwoods for the time being. Maybe potentially gonna check out the Village of Outcasts, maybe looking for a hammer, potentially. Can't really think, I guess, of anything more he would want, I guess, before kind of diving into Thieves Town.
Yeah, just the hammer, I guess. Would be nice. Other than that, like, you kind of do want to do the surrounding checks just in case you get like fire rod, bombos, hookshot, just for the boss, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. So I mean, right, they are certainly armed with a blue boomerang, so it does give them a little bit of stunning power. But yeah, hookshot can really help with movement. Hookshot also one-shots these shadow enemies, for example, too. You know, make their life a little bit nicer. I think we also did see Dante pick up powder from Stumpy. Did I catch that? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that item functionality is changed. Like, at least before, heart functionality also meant that powdering anti-fairies just turned them into hearts instead of fairies. I'm not sure if that's still the case or not.
Okay, I would like to say that all the functionality is just normal. It's just the item pool is different in this case.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I think powdering should just turn regular things into fairies. Wow, man.
Okay, this
What
could be super good for Dante, by the way. If he
Yeah.
wants to pick up the half magic that's on Hylia Island right now, he can immediately go and finish Hobo as well.
Yeah, I was actually more excited about that fairy in a bottle because I want to see Andy go back to Death Mountain and potentially help her. Looks like he is Dante is at least going to. Looks like he is going to do it. Route in half magic certainly something that's very reasonable. In Randomizer especially, medallions are very much higher on the priority list because they can end up killing like more things. Like Ether is your friend for sure.
Keeper's super good, yeah. And Stun Prize is a small magic as well, so that's like even better.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
So we can just like infinite ether everything in GT and all that. So
yeah,
Dante is going to be super stoked to find this flute. He's gonna be really happy about having found that mirror when he did.
Yeah, Dante's like, I am so glad. I mean, just imagine, right? If like he was all kind of over here already, going into the pod area, if he'd find that mirror a little bit later, I don't know. I mean, could have certainly, depending on what else would have happened, could have certainly delayed his trip over to Hobo a lot more. But this is certainly going to be good news for Dante. You know, he's not going to bleed as much time in this case to Andy. As long as he makes his way back over to Caprico and activate that flute, which I'm sure is kind of higher on his priority, especially with such good movement options. Not to mention, of course, we can unlock the Maya area, which Andy still has not been to yet. So very high incentive for Andy to go. For Dante to go back.
Yeah.
Speaking of medallions, we have another one to add to our collection.
And that's super fortunate. I was almost like considering questioning his decision to go to Pyramid instead of just going to Pod or leaving altogether, just to check the Mire and Desert area with the flute. But that Quake might be necessary as well. There's a lot of nasty items that are semi out of the way.
Yeah, and I guess like so as part of I guess like the routing decision or question now. So Andy just ended up picking up his goodies from Hype K, including that mirror and of course a fairy in the bottle. I was actually just wondering like so Dante had very much incentive to check Hobo right after that. Andy on the other hand, he's already got Hobo. I guess like when is he gonna go check Pyramid? And is he ever gonna go pick up half magic at this rate?
Yeah, I think half magic is just gone at this point. Like maybe he considers the bottles to be enough. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
This is, I mean, just it was literally the difference between one decision. And I mean, I think what you said is actually very reasonable. The fact that especially for somebody like Andy, right? I mean, half magic is never ever something that's probably on the forefront or a priority in his mind. Even in something like as Randomizer, right? It's certainly going to be nice to have tonight turned down, but especially he doesn't have any more reason to go over that area. I mean, half magic for Dante could give him a little bit of a could be that much more of an edge.
Yeah, it's surprising that both runners haven't gone to Desert yet. Both decide to do the Smith chain, which kind of works out because we can just drop off the Smith, grab purple chest, mirror, turn in the powder, then turn in purple chest. So it's like a nice way to kind of only have hammer pegs left, I suppose.
Oh yeah, that's right. after everything that we've been through, basically the first 30 minutes, we still don't have that hammer. So until we end up finding the hammer, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be locked up for us, and actually going to be some locations that could be pretty unpalatable to potentially go into without the hammer. For example, I mean, pendant Ice Palace is a pendant, of course, but First Chest of Swamps could hold progression, even though it's kind of it's quite the time commitment to actually even go make that first check, right?
Yeah, I don't expect Swamp to be checked anytime soon.
Well, right. I mean, they have, as you mentioned before, right? They've got Desert, they've got Mire, they've got a lot of options on the table. All right, it's just sort of kind of maybe, getting down to some of the lesser desirable options. That is something potentially, a place that the hammer can still be hiding.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of spots. Even just Pod.
Yeah, that's right. Also,
very,
Pod is
very typical.
Yes. Yeah, actually, so speaking of, right, you know, how are we going to be able to get into pod without kind of being able to land on that pyramid, right? It's not exactly going to be easy for them to, or convenient to go back to. All right, Andy,
Does
at
that
the
like...
30, that looked like ether actually to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Andy, I was gonna say, pretty fortunate, looks like confirmed also by Jinxie, that it is ether. I guess no Samaria means that they still can't clear it. At least, sorry, to get to the back. We don't know if the boss is clearable, but Andy finding some pretty good goodies here in Meyer's shed. Got a bow out of his troubles.
That's definitely very nice. I can't believe that he was willing to hover for that heart.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah, but maybe at this point, 8 hearts. You know, he's like, you know what? I'm ready for anything. Here we go.
Yeah, Dante's being very conservative, just to go back into the Dark World after doing the powder check and just doing all the mirror checks together with the purple chest.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so right, that's right. So Andy and Dante, I guess just kindly reminded that those buzz blobs, you still need the gold sword in order to be able to dash and kill them. Temper sword is not good enough. So you know what? There's at least some upside for us as viewers to be able to see that they're still going to get punished for not having a gold sword in this case.
Yeah, not going to be able to do that this seed.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're going to see Bombos a bit, and then I guess we'll see Dante just follow in Andy's footsteps here.
Yeah, I am also very pleased to see Andy picking up some extra arrows, using some of that NMG knowledge. And actually, I think, is that like the also order of pots that you pick up for arrows when you come into desert? It looked very similar.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that, you know, we did pick up a bow, very similar situation to when we come out of after defeating Armos, we used a lot of arrows. Desert Palace is a very good place to replenish your quiver at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of pots in desert.
Oh, that's right. So Dante, pressing his luck on his green pendant here, that he ended up killing blind for. But you know what, Andy did a really quick map check, but I didn't even catch the boss was. But he found a pretty nice hook shot in desert.
Yeah, that's pretty juicy. It's
I guess we're never gonna see the fairy revival now. Ari, I'm so disappointed.
Unbelievable.
Can you put the hook shot back? He already got a fairy in a bottle.
Well, it's very thematic that the hook shot was in the boss that was in the dungeon that Argus is in. So.
Oh yeah. Is this even NMG? Andy. Okay, he does have a fairy, but he is on half a heart. Not, you know, the most pleasant of situations.
At this point, he'll be fine. Like in this case, there's 2 hearts.
So long as he doesn't get hit by the bomb. Oh, jeez. I'm sure he was fine. I'm sure he was fine.
Likes living dangerously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just shades in here, or even better.
All right, we got some ropas. We don't have to necessarily dash underneath any of them, so maybe, you know, less of a chance of getting lottery here. Let's see what Paradox has to offer. Really... All right, okay, we did get the lamp, so that is actually our fire source that we can actually now use and get back to the back of desert, among other locations. Oh,
that was a really fast attempt too.
Yeah. Alright, looks like maybe Andy's gonna try again. You know what? He's already proven to us that he can hover once to get that heart piece off of Spectacle Rock Cave. You know what? And we didn't see anything the first time. This was, of course, the first actual attempt that Andy had made. We're just gonna put it back up the mountain.
No problem. Alright, so we're not going to be able to open Turtle Rock yet. We still need the hammer for that. So there's still 7 items left here.
Hammer! Alright, so I guess at this point, you know, you do Dark Death Mountain, you know, at least for Andy's side so far. Would you go over, I guess, to Hera? Presumably?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's, or is it faster to save and quit and then climb up like the Hera way with the mirror? I guess I don't know that.
I guess after you've done Hookshot Cave, you just run over to the left and then mirror.
Okay.
I think that's a bit more efficient.
Okay. Alright, Dante, he's gonna go pick up his hookshot relatively soon here. Andy, correctly remembering that you do in fact go through the left cave of Super Bunny, so well, he does. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't necessarily need, in this case, any magic refill. Although that Anti Berry might have another choice words for him. Looks like he's gonna be okay.
Okay. Yeah, great shovel.
Alright, good shovel, good shovel. We check Stumpy for a powder that I don't think led to anything, so why not, let's go back to the Forest Grove and dig up something else. Hopefully that'll be more useful for us.
Okay, so that quake on the pyramid wasn't required.
Yes, very, very interesting. So it is Bombos. We have not seen a fire rod again. So maybe that Bombos medallion is gonna do double duty.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, because otherwise we're probably still going to need it. There's like a very, very, very small chance we don't need it for turnaround, but let's not assume.
Yeah.
That would be a nice twist to the seed, though. Okay, we're gonna see simultaneous arrows. It's going to be a little interesting because Dante is not even going to have the choice of doing it normally without Herapod. So even if there's an item left in the basement after we're done with the boss here, Dante will not have the choice of getting it while Andy does.
You brought up actually a very, very good point. The order of sequencing again, right? Actually seems to have some pretty profound effects, right? So Andy, I ended up checking Hobo early, for example, got his early flute, but probably as a consequence, may not pick up half magic. It might be, a minor thing, but again, sequencing here for Dante. He doesn't have a fire source for Hero Basement.
Yeah, it's like one of the small things why doing stuff like East of Mountain might be a little bit more worth it than usual if you don't have a fire source, just in case that you do find it. But maybe sometimes you don't even want to have the choice. Just be like, you know what? It's good that I didn't have a fire source, just so I don't have to actually think about it.
Yeah. The easiest decision you can make is the one that you can't make, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so it looks like we got Randomizer going on here. While it is a somewhat vanilla Moldorm in theory, he's got a couple eyes. Maybe, also is partaking in the ALTTPR ladder, wants to, say hello to his 8-eyed Moldorm brother.
Yeah, unbelievable that it's semi-vanilla.
Yeah. Alright, where is Dante? Oh, that's right, yeah, Dante. the shuffle, the color palette confused me momentarily. I was like, is he in Light World or Dark World? But yes, he is very much in Light World. It looks like he's gonna at least finish up the rest of the map. Alright, looks like though, Andy back in the Meyer area. Oh, that's right. Yeah. We picked up a lamp from Paradox Cave, which Andy is going to pick up momentarily. But this gives him access to at least Andy and soon to be Dante's next crystal.
Yeah, we're just gonna have the Light World completed at this rate, and then we'll see what Dark World dungeon Andy tackles first.
Yeah, and of course, speaking of NMG execution, both Dante and Andy, I believe, actually are pretty comfortable with a Master Sword, Tempered Sword Argus. I'm certainly expecting, Andy to be very comfortable with this fight. Actually, very similar also to NMG level health. Do you have around this much health? Maybe a little bit more when you go face Argus?
Usually a little bit less, I think.
Okay.
No, I think 10 hearts might be Okay, I guess it depends on whether you have Sankard or not. That's a very interesting spike.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like he was ready to gatekeep Andy until he's like, you know what? You lit all the torches. I guess you could pass.
Like, I'm used to things moonwalking out of walls, but not spikes.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't walk. They can just glide. All right. I'm not sure if there was a good setup. It looked very odd. For at least Argus. So.
Yeah, there might be just some lag involved, maybe just being in a different place, or maybe the movement is different because of there not being water. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but it looked a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it definitely didn't look very. Yeah, it didn't look very familiar, I guess, and unexpected. But you know what, Andy? No worries for him. He's ready to claim his next crystal. Nice ice rod usage, of course, on phase 2. Typically, of course, you would see fire rod, but you know, we don't have a fire rod today, so or at least not yet. We know we are well, we may not need the fire rod at all. Just looking on, you know, it is Chaos Boss Shuffle. Skull Woods is a pendant, so and we don't know what's gonna hold for us in GT. So
all depends on the Trinix.
Yep.
Nice dodger from Dante there. Okay, well there is our Bombos. Okay.
Yeah. Alright, so Ari, do you take this Bombos medallion to Ice Palace? Do you take it to Turtle Rock? Do you take it to, I'm not sure where you take where Andy's simply going right now.
I think I like what Annie's doing here. This is probably going to be North Loop to Pod. I think.
Okay.
Was
he
that
hasn't done well. He hasn't done Skull Woods yet.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely not bad. At some point, you do have to check it just in case that Dante checks it early, and you don't want to just lose by default because Fire Rod wasn't here.
Yeah, no, that's really true. And Andy, of course, did put off Skull Woods for, I mean, when he first came to Dark World, he immediately went into Thieves Town. He has, of course, not actually defeated Thieves Town boss. I believe he did check to see that it was Helmastor, but ultimately I think just did the front 4.
Yeah, I completely forgot that Andy hadn't done this yet. Because the race was so close. Yeah, this is gonna balance out against the Desert Clear, I guess. Even though, like, Dante has also done the Thieves Town boss. All adds up.
Yeah. And, you know, the fact that they, right now, we still have so many options on the table, we're still looking, actually, you know, maybe we could take a quick inventory of what we potentially could need here. Unfortunately, the pits is just not Andy's friends here today. But, okay, yeah, so actually, what potentially do we still need for the seed to completion at this point? We need a hammer?
Yeah, at the very minimum, hammer and king, and very likely the fire rod. But that's it.
That is, well, I mean, so those sets of items don't actually sound too bad in terms of, you know, if you were to pick one of those items, which one would you want for Gomo? Doesn't sound awful. You know, a fire rod certainly, you know, so fire rod doesn't have to be in a lot of places. You know, doesn't lock out a lot of places. Hammer locks out a lot of places. Also locks out a lot of places. So.
Okay, so item-wise, we're completely even now. I'm surprised that we don't see Desert yet from Dante. Was there? There was an item left on Argus.
Yes,
right?
I believe there was an item left on what are the desert Argus. Yes, it was. Yeah, because we found the hookshot on an Invitational Vicky chest, and I think the last item was on Argus.
Well, we're gonna see a little bit of sync here.
All right, so I think Graveyard Ledge is a new check from both Andy and Dante.
Okay. Looks like it.
Definitely both going for it. So unless somebody mistracked something, this is gonna be a new check for both.
The walls were closed.
Yeah. looks like nothing really useful, although Andy looks like he did take a little bit of a beating early on. Gonna take a little bit of health replenishment, but yeah, we are literally like reflecting each other's Pug's footsteps here. Andy, you know, taking the right phase, and Dandy taking the left phase. Oh, that's right, Andy had not done King's Tomb yet. Looks like...
Yeah, didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. So Dante ended up doing, instead of doing Hobo, he went to Waterfall Fairy, you know, got his Titan's Mitts, and then immediately saved and quit to Sang and did like the Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, you know, check before going into Dark World Kakariko. Andy, though, you know, found the flute instead, went to go activate it, but did not have any opportunity or ability in order to check out King's Tomb while he was in the area.
Yeah, especially with Mitts and flute, you have no real incentive to just start at Sank at some point. It's always easy to just mirror out of a dungeon instead of saving quitting at some point. Nice purple water. Beautiful. Nice Sank heart. Yeah, it's yeah, it looks like both runners are going to pop right now, but it's not really clear what the next like set of checks would be after this, because without Hammer, it's just all really messy.
Yeah, so, and I guess also I would also expect here Andy to check Pyramid on his way over to Pod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's gonna be a... Oh, a medallion! Oh wait, I don't need a medallion.
Yeah, oh, that's right. That's right. I mean, all the way over here, you know what? At least in this case, Andy doesn't have to quick swap over to get through another medallion. You know, Dandy's gonna have all this extra luggage, basically, that he has to go carry around.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Alright, and
weighs
of course...
him down so much.
Yeah. Yeah, so of course, luckily at this point, since we've gotten so much extra money, not only from Waterfall Cave, or Fairy in this case, in addition to Andy farming up a little bit of money to make sure that he has enough for Zora, we have so much more than enough money in order to pay off Kiki, and lose him for like, I don't know, like 80 times or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if at some point either runner does decide to fill up some bottles with all that money. It might be that they just feel like that it's too close to really have the time to do that, because it is a small time investment. Of course, there's going to be like some 20-30 seconds between fluting and going inside and buying stuff. And yeah, with runners of this caliber, every minute counts, every second counts.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. I mean, so right now, so it does actually look like that Dante has a very slight lead over Andy in Pod in particular. However, keep in mind that, you know, Dante still has to clear out basically still like the backup desert, right? There are going to be like just little minor things that are going to separate these runners. I certainly expect that for the remainder of the game as well.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier on, I think that if things are close to vanilla and Andy can use his NMG muscle memory to the max, like, he's going to have a small advantage execution-wise. Of course, in Randomizer, that's not likely to be the case, and like both runners are just really flexible and good at adapting on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that sense, there's probably not a whole lot that separates them, in which we've already kind of seen like most of the time differences just because of like small route divergences and like Andy having to farm some money and trying out the fairy revival hover. There's those small things, there's all those small things that add up that just cause the race to still be close, but despite all the small routing differences. But execution-wise, it's just been really close as far as I can tell, anyway.
Yeah. I'm also, you know, very disappointed in the dungeon that we could not see a Pod right side hover on either runner. I mean, it's like of all things, right? You know, the game decides to give these two, you know, I mean, I can't even, you know, begin to describe how good of execution. You know, they are Temper Sword, boots early on, you know, which is also very comfortable for them, but you know, also like why can't we, you know, let them showcase some of their boots abilities here?
Yeah, they would have if they got the opportunity.
They could, exactly. Alright, so of course, no one is surprised that we see yet another spike of a variety of some sort on the falling bridge in Pod. Did you happen to catch what that boss was?
I think it was Lamo.
Okay.
Can't confirm, it was Lando.
Okay. Well, you know, they do have a bow, which I'm, you know, as speaking of NMG potentially. Oh no, Andy! That stealth pose. How did he knock Andy down with that bone throw?
I have no clue.
I mean, man, like, talk about, you know, not having any muscles on that skeleton. Like, that guy, maybe he's been to the gym or something. Maybe he's gotten a lot of calcium.
Speaking of stealth pose.
Oh my gosh! Andy is getting bullied here on the Frigipod.
Okay, does get past the spike, so
Okay.
small crisis averted.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you know, speaking of, we haven't actually seen any invisibility items. No cane of Burna, no cape. Well, of course, okay, but speaking of, that's a pretty good cane, that we were certainly looking for in pod.
Right, I didn't even realize. We were talking about potentially going to Total Rock with that Bombos, but that would have been a tall order. I didn't even think about that.
That's true. I forgot. Well, okay, you know what? You could these two runners in particular, right? Okay. I believe could get through Turtle Rock at least the first couple, maybe, you know, rooms.
Yeah. Especially given that we couldn't do right side anyway with all the torches. Then yeah, sure.
Oh man. Alright, yeah, but of course, oh, Andy even giving us a chest turn. You know, actually, you know, we're seeing, looks like actually we're gonna probably get a couple more, or some more frequent green 20s. I think this is probably gonna be a consequence of the health pool kind of already, you know, getting up there. We were talking about these guys being, on, you know, oh my gosh, dude. Sorry, yeah, Dante is showing us the power of the medallions, immediately. Can't really do anything about that chain chomp, but at least those pokies won't give me trouble in the beginning of Mire.
Yeah, these are going to be the rooms that are awful. It's like either this or the gauntlet rooms. It's just so many enemies, and some like often just enemies that are really annoying to kill as well. So
yeah, there's as you've seen on Dante's side, there is no amount of NMG muscle memory I think that can help them there in order to get through Mire 2. Just to do the best you can with your tempered sword.
Just try not to cry a lot. Alright, so very typically, we're still, 2 items away.
Yeah, so right, we're still at, the hammer is still at large. You know, there are still gonna be 2 items here in my Andy, holy.
Oh, yeah. No ether required if you're a gamer.
And Andy's showing off his prowess at this game. I mean, who needs a medallion? Just, you know, just move correctly and avoid all the enemies and get through. You're talking about being all these having really annoying tektites, yeah? Jump around, yeah. Andy's showing us. Oh my gosh, dude! Oh, jeez! Thank you, hookshot on Dante's side. So that roller would have killed Dante. Does 3 hearts of damage on green male. You can definitely see Rando instincts kicking in on Dante's side here on Randomizer. This is the type of content we are here to see.
Yeah, that's 1 item. Yeah, so even if like Dante gets reduced to 0 here, he's not out of he's like still out of the woods because he has 2 fairies.
Right, that's right.
But it's a hefty time loss. Like, that should not be understated. Like, we were talking just a bit before about how it's all the small margins that add up, and yeah, fairies are definitely a double-digit amount of seconds that matters when we're this close.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually see, I think, looks like Andy and Dante, at least temporarily, had the powder out, potentially looking for one of those anti-fairies that seem so popular in some of the other dungeons, but at least Andy was not in one-hit KO mode, was able to tank that roller hit. But actually, speaking of, we found the cape as the second item here in Mire. That half magic potentially actually could be a little bit more of an advantage now for Dante.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially, we don't know what the boss is going to be. We don't even know if we can actually beat it. Could be Trinex still.
Oh so yeah, that's right. Because we don't have we haven't seen a compass yet, right?
I don't think so. No, I think we just saw keys, arrows, and And the cape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
Oh my gosh! All right,
Yeah.
oh, all right. That is a what a nice surprise coming into the basement of Meyer. You were talking about spikes sliding out of the wall. I would not like the roller to come back ever.
Okay.
Alright, Andy,
Yeah,
though,
that
maybe it
was
looks like he's taking a little bit of time trying to get a powder anti-fairy. Looks like he is successful. He is probably going to take the same hit as Dante, but of course, thanks to some extra health here, he won't have to use up one of his fairies.
Yeah, it's definitely going to cost him a little bit less time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, down to 5. Nothing that's going to instantly... Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're all right. Yeah, so like, you know, and Dante's going to remind us that every transition here to a new room potentially is going to be a little bit dangerous. Oh, what a nice vanilla anti-fairy at the very end to help out Dante. Alright, we saw Moldorm's twin brother living here in Misery Mire. Oh, want to say hello to at least his brother in Hera. But you know what? With Temper Sword this time around, as long as Dante avoids the slime that does actually do some health of damage to him, Dante is not gonna have any worries. And Andy, I assume, will have just as good time, basically killing off Moldorm.
So Dante will be doing Desert now. Then after that, I assume they both will try to set up a big bomb cube. Over very.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that is going to look with Randomizer. I don't know if it's going to be a lot harder or easier, depending on what's floating around the waters. But
oh right, we don't have hammer. That's a very good point, Ari. Good reminder. Thank you. That, you know, typically speaking, you know, not only we do normal bomb tubes, right, for like a normal path and kind of go through the bridge, you need the hammer in order to knock down those pegs. So in order to get to Pyramid Fairy, which is, by the way, now in logic, with those flippers, and of course we do our 5-6 crystals after this, after defeating Meyer and Desert on Dante's side. Well, the trek in order to get back to the pyramid is going to be much more treacherous. Not to mention getting back to the Dark World without a hammer. This is going to be one and only access point.
okay, I couldn't believe that worked, but it worked.
You know, this game surprises the best of us, it looks like. Alright, Dante, of course, getting his 5-6 crystal, and Andy, we are seeing that even though we do have still flutes, that doesn't unfortunately give us very good Dark World access maneuverability.
Well, Andy hasn't done bombos yet. Okay.
I'm sorry?
If some Andy hadn't done bombos yet, so that's gonna give
I
a little bit of
see.
time.
Because I was like, wait, Andy does have bombos. He has the medallion, like on his tracker. It's like, oh, he doesn't have the tablets, right? Yeah, but unfortunately, you know, no hammer, especially in, you know, these late games when you just want to go through, you know, very specific places. Well, you know, we have access now to Swamp again, but just in order to get down here to basically South Dark World is, you can basically see, you know, at least they got boots. That is the, imagine how bad this is going to be, you know, if they just had to basically walk everywhere.
That's very conservative to also do Swamp right now. I guess it makes sense because you just barely have any options left at this rate.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess, like, time-wise, it's not even that much worse than doing Pyramid Fairy via the water, so...
Alright, so this... Yeah, I was gonna say, so speaking of, though, you know, we talked about basically incentivizing Dante to go check late Hobo with that mirror out of Hypebeat, because he also could route in potentially half magic. You know, Dante has already done Bombo's tablet over Andy, so, you know, this was kind of like more on the path for Andy, right?
Yeah,
and for Dante, I mean, who wants to just isolate, you know, and do like a one-off check for the front of Swamp? Alright, Dante, trying to make sure that he
Oh
mirrors...
no, he mirrored too soon.
Oh, is that a balk? Aw,
Okay,
that is so... Oh my gosh, dude, that is so sad.
Yeah, that makes you hate to see. Well, that's one of them.
Yeah, no, that is... Oh, I mean, we saw how much time it took to get over here, basically to South Dark World. This is going to be something that Dante's going to have to do all over again.
Yeah. Like, that's actually pretty commendable to just double down and retry. Like, you could definitely argue to decide to do something else, just say, okay, that check is dead to me now. I am gonna go to ice. Because that's not unreasonable either.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like though Andy is going to take probably more a conservative route. Oh no, maybe he's going to. Oh, I was like, is he just not going to pick up half magic? I thought he actually just wanted this portal here to make sure that he can, safely, get the bomb over, and then saying just not going to pick up half magic. But I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about it, so eventually did pick it up.
All worked out.
All worked out. He just has to get past these Lionels. This overworld is definitely dangerous.
And then there's like a dead chicken.
Yeah. Alright, Andy is almost in the clear. Almost. Just has to... Oh, jeez. Thank goodness for killable thieves, man. Like,
yeah. The best feature in the game.
Yes. Alright, Dante, take 2. Is he going to do something similar to what Andy does, or it looks like he is just going to go for it straight out? What does Pyramid have for us today? It is not what we're looking for.
But it's ice or thieves at this rate? Oh man, Dante, you're maneuvering so fast.
He is really gonna try and nail that 0 counter.
Okay, there we go.
Oh,
yeah.
Phew.
You actually have quite the window to actually hit it. So yeah, you can be a little bit lenient with the mirror timing.
Yeah, but I mean, so I don't know if this was like a all that said and done, as in like dust settles, let's see where our runners are. But kind of with the second attempt, Andy now has a very slight time lead going into Ice Palace.
Yeah, definitely. That's like, yeah, the check definitely hurt. Having to do it twice, missing the trick, but the race still not all over yet. Just
no. We're still looking for, by the way, a lot of stuff, right? And and like the fact that also Andy did the first check of Swamp. In this case, it happens to not have something, right? But that is something that most likely Dante is just not going to do, like in his run.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other checks there would be worse than first chest of Swamp, but it looks like they're just going to continue trading each other at this rate. And if it's not in here, it's probably going to be in Thieves Town then.
Back of Thieves Town. I guess first check of Turtle Rock.
Oh, Turtle Rock's a thing. Oh, that would be...
Yeah, right, so we don't have the Fire Rod. I mean, it depends on the key layout, of course. We could just get locked out immediately, but it doesn't preclude the hammer being... No, I mean, well, we don't have the hammer, right? So we still can't get in?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So it's not just a thing. It's not even just a thing.
You're right. It's not just a thing. Sorry. Oh, these Baris, man. These Baris have just never, ever been friends. It doesn't matter what position they are, where they're located. They're just never friendly. All right. Man, these boss checks are too fast. Did you happen to catch what that was?
Nope.
All right, Andy though, showing us who needs bombs these days. We've got boots. But yeah, but in this case, we don't have a hammer. I think Andy at this point is just actually very hoping that hammer is actually going to be in here, which is probably is that most likely the reason why he decided to hit the switch and leave the pegs up?
Probably, yeah.
Alright,
Okay.
of course, yeah. No firebar means that this room is definitely much more friendly.
Small key. Big key. Okay, that's really awkward. And Andy just deciding to immediately go back to this room to get the big key so he can go get the big chest. So that really works out for Andy. That he doesn't just go straight to Ice Tea room and then circle his way back.
Oh, so this is actually quite a bit of difference in terms of routing then.
Yeah.
I mean, so in this case, Andy would actually be able to clear Ice Palace faster, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it is gonna work out way better for Andy. Like, if there was a small key in like either of the chests that Dante opened or either of the free chests, then it would have been completely fine to Icebreaker, but yeah, didn't work out this way. He needs to be careful.
Gosh, Dante! Dante's down to half a heart. Hopefully he's gonna be okay. Were there anti-fairies here? Looks like he's gonna pull out that powder. Oh no!
Oh no!
Does he have a fairy? Was that
He has another one, yeah.
Okay, alright.
But yeah, now he really needs to be careful. No buffer left, and again, it's costly.
Yeah, this is actually a good point. So, you know, we did have, what, three bottles total. 2 of them with fairies inside. Well, 1 of them with fairies inside. They got another fairy from Waterfall Fairy. But it's not like we have a bug net or anything convenient, even though we do have the powder. And as you mentioned before, Ari, like going to going to potion shop, right? And going and buying another potion, it's still a very minor time investment that you don't potentially want to invest. Looks like Andy pulled out a fire shield from, I guess, Ice Tea. Maybe it looks like then Ice Palace is not our answer.
Well, that's rough.
Alright, well, so this at least potentially for Andy is, I assume he's gonna clear out, whatever's in the Helmasaur first, maybe, and then go to the back? If he clears out Helmasaur, it's gonna be definitely time to give it back to Dante, because he's already done that.
Yeah.